Hello all, welcome to session 8 of Selectors Hub training series. In this session, I'm going to practically show you how Selectors Hub can auto-detect the dynamic changeable factors of a given web element. So let's get started. First of all, let's launch the Chrome browser, which has the Selectors Hub already installed. Now let's browse the sample application page, say omaya.blogspot.com. So it has a lot of view elements here. Now let's auto-generate the locators for this text area field using Selectors Hub. For that, I need to right click and select the inspect option and go to the Selectors Hub functionality. As you can see, Selectors Hub has auto-generated the different possible locators for this text area field like this. And if you clearly observe this relative XPath, there is a kind of message here, guys. Okay, warning kind of message saying that this particular ID, okay, this relative XPath is using some ID which looks dynamic, kind of changeable. Okay, so tomorrow the developer can change this ID, guys. TA1, he can change it to TA2. Okay, the possibility, if there are some numbers in the ID attribute, there's a possibility of changing, guys. That particular thing, this particular Selectors Hub is identifying, guys. You see, Selectors Hub is auto detecting the dynamic changeable factors of a given web element. So here, this is a dynamic changeable factor. That is, this number one in this ID is a dynamic changeable factor. So here, this relative XPath is generated using this ID, right? And this ID, there's a possibility of changing. That particular thing, Selectors Hub is identifying, auto detecting, guys. It's clearly saying ID looks dynamic. Uncheck the ID checkbox or delete the ID attribute from the attribute box to generate relative XPath without ID if it is generated with ID. Since it is there is a chance of changeable things in this ID attribute value, it's asking us, Selectors Hub is asking us, if you want to change it or auto generate without this ID, just uncheck this ID. From this warning message, it is conveying, okay, if you uncheck this, if you don't want this relative XPath generating with ID which can be changeable, uncheck it. It's simply saying that when you uncheck this ID, you see you got another alternative XPath which is not using the ID which can be changeable by the developer, because this one is kind of suspicion kind of thing is there with this one, guys. Tomorrow one can become two or three. Okay, so we have to use an alternative relative XPath. So hope guys you understood how the Selectors Hub auto detects the dynamic changeable factors of a given web element. So that's it, guys. See you in the next video session. Thank you. Bye.